Welcome to HealthWise. Today's focus is on kidneys. Those two bean-shaped organs which are located just below the rib cage in the back part of the body. Kidneys. How important are kidneys, Dr. Lewin?
Dr. Stella, it's good to be with you again.
Thank you.
The kidneys are extremely important in your health, and whenever you have kidney disease, you have to make sure that you take care of it because it just continues to progress and doesn't get better unless you do something about it. So let's talk about kidneys in health.
Kidneys and health. Their function.
That's correct.
Yes.
We'll talk about them as the organs that remove toxins and waste materials from the body. The liver is one that does that too, but with the kidneys, they're like a strainer, strain out these toxic materials, and they're eliminated through the urine. And so we know it's very important for you to keep yourself well hydrated and drink plenty of water so that you can at least get rid of so many of these toxins as often as you can.
So the liver is like a washing machine.
Right.
It washes things out and breaks down all these complex things and makes them simple so that the kidneys can eliminate and filter.
Exactly.
So the kidney's job is to make sure that the waste products of metabolism as well as toxins which are in the body exit the body.
Exactly.
Through the urine.
Right.
But how exactly do kidneys do this?
Well, there is a marvelous arrangement of blood vessels in the kidneys. They're very delicate, and we're going to see whether we can get a picture put up. But in the meantime, I'm drawing you a little diagram here.
Yes.
The blood supply comes into the kidney. The functional unit of the kidney is called the glomerulus, which is a little network of blood vessels, very delicate, very tiny. And after the straining is done, then the blood runs on to the other side, from the arterial side to the venous side, and to the urinary tract, which keeps the toxins and so on in the bladder before they're eliminated. So these tiny blood vessels are very delicate, and when the blood pressure changes slightly, it affects them. If we have an elevated blood pressure over a period of time, these little blood vessels can be damaged. And they, just as I said, kidney disease tends to get progressive. Once they get damaged, more and more of them are damaged, more and more kidney function is lost. There's something else that can occur, one on hypertension that's coming from the blood vessels, but there can be pressure brought to bear on the glomeruli from the bladder, from prostate problems, like men who have big prostates, BPH or benign prostatic hypertrophy. That's the term that tells when the prostate is enlarged. It prevents the urethra from transmitting the urine, and so it produces back pressure up through the whole urinary tract into the kidneys themselves. And this causes pressure on the glomerulus and can cause kidney failure that way.
Absolutely. So maintaining that clear flow of blood in and out the filter. Blood has to go through and blood has to come out.
And urine comes out.
Anything which impairs the flow of blood pretty much affects kidney function.
Exactly.
So Dr. Lewin, we are talking here about an organ which is pretty much affected by many conditions, which includes high blood pressure, diabetes, low blood pressure, as well as any other conditions which affect the state of the blood, like the leukemias, the lymphomas, so forth. So the main function of the kidney, two main functions, if we're to sum it up, is eliminating waste as well as the production of red blood cells.
As well as maintaining a balance in the body, because it does maintain the acid-base balance in the body. It helps with the processes that keep your electrolytes. These are the substances that contain, the electrons that help your body maintain its acid-base balance, regulated, and also calcium absorption. It produces it harvests vitamin D, and this helps you with your calcium absorption. If it's overactive, you can absorb too much calcium. You can get a condition that will affect your parathyroid glands as well, and can affect your bones. So the one thing leads to another, and we all want to maintain this balance that we talk about in the kidneys. And also in terms of the red cells, we talked about the red cells. It produces this substance called EPO. That's the short term for erythropoietin. Yes, which if you don't have enough of, you get anemic, basically. And so sometimes when people turn up with anemia, doctors look to the kidneys as part of the problem for that, you know. Diabetes is another big topic too. It's a biggie. Yes, that has an effect on the kidney. When the blood gets thick because the blood has too much sugar in it. Remember we talked about the hemoglobin A1C. When that gets elevated over the normal range, the toxins from that will affect the kidney as well and then lead to chronic kidney failure. So we really want to try and maintain our blood at a normal level of glucose, electrolytes, water balance, and we want to keep our kidneys functioning that way.
That's interesting, Dr. Lewin, because a lot of people are not able to connect the dots between high blood pressure, diabetes, low blood pressure, and kidney failure.
Yes.
My understanding is that 1 out of every 4 adults with diabetes have some form of kidney disease.
No, that's a high percentage, you know.
That is a high, that's almost, 1 in every 4, 25%.
Yes.
And, knowing that kidney disease can progress is key, because knowing those early signs can help us slow down the process.
Or try to reverse it if we can, especially if we can get our diabetes under control, our sugar under control.
Absolutely.
We can stop it in its tracks.
So, most people who end up with renal disease or end-stage renal disease, meaning the kidneys are not functioning, have to depend on renal dialysis.
Yes,
or hemodialysis,
exactly.
Which means the body has to rely on an external machine
which filters
the blood, and this takes hours sitting and hooked up to this machine, and that presents with other problems as well in terms of how to regulate that blood volume.
Exactly.
Because we know that blood volume directly affects the function of the heart.
That's true.
The ability for the heart to pump forcefully is dependent on the volume of blood which is in its chambers.
Yes.
And so, what I'm hearing here is maintaining a good hydration.
Yes, it's key.
Drinking water.
Yes.
Because when we drink something else which is not water, we introduce these extra impurities in our bodies.
We get more solute,
gives the kidneys
trouble to filter out.
More work to do.
More work to do.
Which could be
when it's not well in the first place, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right, because the kidney is not just handling waste coming from food, it's also handling waste coming from byproducts of metabolism, which include exercising. Because when you exercise, you have substances which are released by the body as a result of breaking down fat, breaking down muscle, and so forth, which the kidneys have to handle. So, before we forget, let's talk about the importance of drinking water. It is recommended half your body weight in ounces of water unless if you're on a fluid restriction.
Yes.
So for people who have kidney diseases, they have a limit as to amount of water they take in, because we know why. Because the kidneys function based on pressure.
That's right.
So maintaining that pressure level is also important.
And so some of the fluid then gets out of the blood vessels and goes into what they call the third space, which means it starts to get fluid down into the legs, and you see people having leg swelling or swelling in the abdomen. They get into conditions like congestive heart failure, and this further complicates the problem.
Which is very interesting, because I'm glad Dr. Lewin touches on that, because the kidney regulates the electrolytes, which you mentioned. Let's make it simple. Salt, calcium, and potassium.
Right.
The body has to have a balance between potassium and sodium. The more salt you have, the less potassium the body is going to have. So consuming a lot of salt can really be damaging to these very kidneys, which we depend on to clean the system up.
Which is why most often your doctor will put you on a sodium restricted diet whenever you have kidney problems, and make sure that you don't get too much water either, because it's not handling that very well. So instead of flogging an already damaged or already struggling kidney, we want to give it just enough that it can function optimally under the circumstances.
So having a diagnosis of high blood pressure can be an indication of kidneys starting to have a challenge.
Yes, yes.
As we mentioned, kidneys regulate blood volume in the acid base, as well as eliminates waste. And when salt is not eliminated from the body, for instance, salt remains in the body attached to water.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons why maintaining blood pressure levels is key, to make sure that those little networks can filter.
Exactly. And remember your illustration about the water hose and
That's
the
right.
small water hose
That's right.
having a higher pressure and the larger water hose with a lower pressure. When you have your medication, your doctor will probably give you medicine that will relax some of these blood vessels so they're not so small and tight and the pressure doesn't go so high, and so that it will give the kidneys an easy chance of doing its job optimally.
Absolutely. So to our viewers, we just want you to remember this. Kidneys are very important. Most people don't realize how important they are until they stop working. And it's important that you see your doctor and you get a urinalysis done, which checks what is in the urine.
Right.
And some of the early signs of renal problems or kidney problems is the presence of protein in the
Protein
urine.
is one, and increased creatinine is
That's
the other,
right.
because creatinine is a waste product as well.
right.
And when your kidneys are going down, your creatinine tends to go up. And there's a quick formula, is that your creatinine should be about 1. So if it goes up to 2, you're using about half your kidney function.
Oh, wow.
If it goes to 3, a third, 4, a quarter.
That's right.
So you really want to keep track of that.
Okay, so then what I'm thinking is this. We have the opportunity to keep our kidneys within us.
Yes.
Because relying on an external device, which is the kidney dialysis, can be very challenging and taxing for the family and the caregivers as well.
And expensive.
So the good news is most of our viewers have their kidneys today, and those who don't have can at least realize that you gotta follow your doctor's instructions. Limiting sugary drinks can be helpful.
Yes.
Quitting smoking can be very, very helpful.
Exercising, keeping that blood flowing, keeping your muscles intact.
Managing stress better is a good thing.
Yes.
And what I'm also thinking, Dr. Lewin, is this. Our viewers are very passionate about their health, and they're going to do everything they can to take care of those kidneys. And as we exit today, the message is, HealthWise is your network. Tune in for more information on how we can make life healthier.
Not only with your kidneys, your heart, your brain, the rest of your body. Listen up for more episodes coming up where we'll deal with each one of these organs as the way it functions and how it contributes to your health.
In the meantime, let's keep the water flowing in, which means we have to drink it so it can flow out, so we can eliminate toxins. So drinking water is key. Following your doctor's instructions is key, because the body will cooperate when we put in these small measures every day to stay healthier. Again, from NWI Educate, thank you. Your host here, Dr. Stellar
and Dr. Lewin.
Have a wonderful life ever.